Can the Atlanta Braves make it a second consecutive series sweep by taking down the Miami Marlins tonight? You've got Martín Perez on the mound, so there's a chance. Here's your 15-minute scouting report for today's game. Yes, this is your Braves Today Scouting Report, a production of the Belief Podcast Network and presented to you by FanDuel. I'm Lindsey Crosby. In the next 15 minutes, we're breaking down everything you need to know before first pitch. Today, it's the Braves and the Marlins in the series finale, so let's get into it. You look at the weather for today. Shout out to at BravesWX on social media for the fantastic graphics, those of you who are here with us live on YouTube. 7:15 start on Braves Vision. Just like usual August weather. Scattered showers here and there throughout the day. Not going to be super hot, probably around 80 degrees, but still, make sure you have something to drink. You got to hydrate to be great. Good chance this game gets in. Could be a small delay, but for the most part, likely going to play today. Lineups are out for both teams. The Braves did make an adjustment here. So Drake Baldwin leading off behind the plate. Ronald Acuna Jr. batting second in right field. Matt Olson batting third at first base. Michael Harris II is the cleanup hitter in center field. Mauricio Dubon batting fifth at second base. It's the first day off this season for Ozzie Albies. Mike Yastrzemski in left field batting sixth. Dominic Smith is the DH batting seventh. Austin Riley at third base batting eighth. And Jim Jarvis, Jimmy Baseball himself, batting ninth. I want Sean Murphy to play a ton. I'm assuming the reason he is not in the lineup today is so that he can catch Tyler Mahle on Friday night and hit against a lefty in Max Fried. Honestly, I am fine playing him 3 straight games. I understand why they may not want to, but I still think Murphy behind the plate and Drake Baldwin at DH is a much better offensive and defensive configuration than having Drake Baldwin behind the plate and Dominic Smith at DH. So we'll see what happens there. On the mound for the Braves, Martín Perez, 7-6, 3.24 ERA. As always, the estimators aren't as impressed. 4.42 expected ERA. And a 4.29 fielding independent pitching. One of the big reasons he gets dings in a lot of the estimators, his strikeout rate is below 20%. 18.8% for Martín Perez this season. His walk rate, because he had a couple iffy starts there after getting hit with that comebacker in the injured list stint, his walk rate sits at 9.8%. So that is also worse than average. The difference there, only 9% difference between the strikeout and the walk rates. You want it to be better than that. But we know what Martín Perez is, right? He's not getting a ton of whiffs. He's not getting a ton of chase. But he is getting a lot of contact on the ground. And he is taking the sting out of the swing. And because he does that, he's going to have a really good barrel rate. Things to watch here on this. Defining pitch is still the changeup. It's the second most frequent pitch used by Martín Perez. 32% whiff rate, only a 25% hard hit rate. It is the engine that makes this entire thing go. And the problem here against a Miami offense that actually has a pretty decent batting average and is good at getting balls in play, he gets almost no swing and miss on the sinker. Like, it's under 10%. And there's actually a lot of damage done off of the sinker, or there should be, right? The expected weighted on base average is like 371. So the thing to watch for with the changeup, if he can get chases on it below the zone, it's going to be a good day for Martín Perez. If he can't, and he's forced to bring those 89-mile-an-hour sinkers into the zone, Miami's going to have traffic on the bases. The other thing that will give them traffic on the bases is walks to the right-handed hitters. He's walked 30 righties this year, which is almost the same number of strikeouts he has against righties. He's good at using the changeup to like keep their batting average down, but the command against opposite-handed hitters has been a little bit iffy. And so, like, honestly, I'm more worried about a first inning walk or two than I am if they have a couple hard hit ground ball outs, right? If you're not seeing the changeup get whiffs below the zone and he's walking right-handed hitters early, that's going to be a sign, a warning sign. Also, he went 7 innings last time. Don't assume 7 innings every time. I still think the goal with Martín Perez, especially against a good Marlins offense that can run when they get on the bases, that has some decent team speed in the lineup today, still think the answer against the Marlins is playing on a 5 and dive. And we'll get to the bullpen status in a few minutes. Can you absorb a 5 and dive from Martín Perez? Guys to watch for in this one. Otto Lopez is 2 for 5 off of Martín Perez. I feel like we've said his name in all 3 games, but the only 2 homers currently on the roster, Xavier Edwards, who is the cleanup hitter today, and Esteury Ruiz took Martín Perez deep in Miami when these 2 teams faced off last time. Kind of frustrating how that happened, right? Speaking of Miami's lineup, Otto Lopez is leading off today. It had been Xavier Edwards when he was in the lineup. I think it was game 2 there he led off. But Otto Lopez leading off. Heriberto Hernandez moves up to this 2 spot in the order. Agustin Ramirez checks in as a designated hitter, batting 3rd. Xavier Edwards, the second baseman, is the cleanup hitter today. Leo Jimenez is at 3rd base, batting 5th. That is 5 consecutive either righties or Edwards is a switch hitter. So 5 guys who can bat from the right-handed side. So again, they're going to be trying to work those walks really early in the game. Kyle Stowers is at 1st base, batting 6th. He's a lefty, but then back to the righties. Javier Sanoja in right field, batting 7th. Esteury Ruiz batting 8th. And then the catcher is Navarreto. And listen, I consider myself a person that watches way too much baseball. I had never heard of Brian Navarreto until about 10 minutes ago. 6th round pick by the Twins out of high school, age 31 season, 18 career games. Fun fact here, he debuted for the Marlins in 2020 and then didn't make it back to the majors for 5 more years. He finally got called back up for 8 games and 14 at-bats last season. So credit to the dude, career minor leaguer. He's grinding. This is now the 3rd season he will have played in the majors, and it's been a small sample size. He is ostensibly their 3rd or 4th catcher, but when they traded Liam Hicks, it gave them an opportunity to call him up as the backup to Joe Mack. And Agustin Ramirez is really just a DH that they occasionally put behind the plate if they need to. On the mound for the Marlins, Jansen Junk, 5-6 with a 4.58 ERA. The estimators say he's been a little bit unlucky, actually. 4.07 expected ERA, 4.24 field and independent pitching. I really don't understand how the estimators are so much higher on Jansen Junk than his actual results. Although you can kind of piece a little bit of it together. Strikeout rate of 18.1%, not good. Walk rate of 6.5% is pretty good. That's probably a big part of that there. The spread between the strikeout and walk rates, 11.6%. You like that. It is a true 6-pitch mix. He's throwing 94 on the 4-seamer, 93 on the sinker. He's got a slider and a sweeper and a curveball, as well as a change. So he is a guy that can spin the ball pretty well to have multiple fastballs here. And he's done a decent job at getting ground balls, 45%, which is, 10, 12% above average. But for a starter, it's a pretty good mark. And he's not given up a ton of barrels despite giving up hard hits in general because he gets so many ground balls, right? So good at getting balls on the ground. I wouldn't necessarily call him a junk baller despite the name, but it is, he is getting by more off of variation and utilization than he is actual stuff. Against lefties, he throws all 6 pitches. The 4-seamer is the number 1 pitch. He throws more of it when he's behind, which is kind of common and expected, but very little variation here. whatever he's throwing is what he's throwing. He doesn't really change what he's doing depending on where he is in the count, other than he throws a little bit more four-seamers when he is behind. When he's facing a righty, there is a little bit more variation here. He throws more sliders early in the count. He backs off the slider with 2 strikes to throw more four-seamers, which is a weird adjustment. But it's a breaking ball heavy approach. Half of all of his pitches are either a sweeper or a slider. So a lot of breaking balls to righties in that same-handed situation. Obviously, the sweeper, going to be a big pitch in those situations. Sequencing-wise, no strong proclivity to a first pitch strike. But when you look at what Atlanta's done here with this lineup, it makes sense how they set it up, right? Against Jansen Junk, stacking lefties. His first 13 starts, 3.21 batting average by lefties, 6.21 ERA. Now, righties only hit 184. I think some of that's a little bit of batting average on balls in play. I don't think he's that good against righties, but he's also not he also is pretty much that bad against lefties. Last season, they hit him at a 294 rate. The one thing I think Atlanta needs to do here, attack the strikes instead of waiting for walks. Jansen Junk is pretty much the worst pitcher in baseball at getting whiffs. He is literally a first percentile of 16.2%. And in the zone, 17%. It's pretty much he just cannot miss bats. And he throws over 50% of his pitches in the zone. Opponents have a contact rate in the zone of 88%. He's looking for quick contact. He wants to get the ground balls. You don't have to ambush the first pitch, right? Be selective about which strike you go for. But don't sit up there and take 3, 4, 5 pitches and get into a pitcher's count where he can get you to chase a sweeper or something. But none of these pitches but the four-seamer have a positive run value. The slider, the sweeper, the curve, all of those have slugging percentages against it at least 471. And everything but the changeup has a whiff rate below 17%. He's going to try to beat you by sequencing, but it's all hittable stuff. None of the breaking balls have been reliable two-strike weapons. And then he seems to have a thing where he struggles, not in the first inning, but in the second. I don't know how much to trust the sample size, but in the second inning, he has a 6.60 ERA and an 8.11 OPS. So I don't know, is that small sample size flukiness or is this sustained? But for some reason, he comes out in the first inning, he's okay. The second inning is where he struggles. Last time Atlanta faced him in Miami, 5 innings back in May, 8 runs on 8 hits. Austin Riley had a 3-run bomb. Dom had a 3-run bomb. Guys who need to get going who are good against him. Ronald Acuna Jr. is 3 for 6. Sean Murphy's 2 for 4, but Sean Murphy's also not in this lineup, right? Because again, I'm assuming they're saving him for tomorrow. Bullpen status for both teams here. For the Braves, they used the alternate leverage group, right? They went to Dylan Dodd for the 8th inning. Dieter Fuentes bailed him out and then took over the 9th. So Fuentes is probably down. Dylan Dodd, Dylan Dodd's probably down. Dieter Fuentes, 19 pitches yesterday. They don't like to use him on back-to-backs. He's probably down as well. So Dodd back-to-back is down. Fuentes, to prevent a back-to-back, is probably down. Dylan Lee threw 23 pitches on Tuesday. Raisel Iglesias threw 21 pitches on Tuesday. They'll use those guys if they need to. I would love to not need to use them, right? You've got Brent Suter. He hasn't thrown for Atlanta yet. You've got Victor Medeiros. You've got Danny Young. You've got Tyler Kenley. None of those guys have pitched this week. I think Suter, Medeiros, and Young were all Saturday. Kenley got up once, but did maybe Monday or maybe Tuesday, but didn't pitch. And he hasn't actually thrown since I think Friday or Thursday or something. So I would love for this to be a blowout game where you can throw Young, you can throw Kenley, you can throw Suter, and you don't need to worry about any of the leverage arms. Give them a day off. You look at Miami's bullpen. Pete Fairbanks, their closer, hasn't thrown in 4 days, right? He threw on Sunday. He's been off for 3 days. Today's the 4th. They probably try to get him in the game, even if it's not close. Victor Vodnik, they acquired him at the trade deadline. He threw 26 on Tuesday. He had yesterday off. Not sure if they'll try to go with him again today or if they'll give him a second day off. Calvin Foucher, Josh Eknes both threw right around 20 pitches yesterday. You can bring them back if you need to. John King had 16 on Tuesday. He's good to go. Cade Gibson had 9 yesterday. He's good to go. They've got some long men. Michael Peterson hasn't thrown since Sunday. Like, Miami should be pretty much good to go on the entire bullpen. And again, I do think you end up seeing Pete Fairbanks if it's even if it's not not a safe situation, simply because they probably want to get him some work. Final thoughts on this one now that we're already over on the 15 minutes I promised you. Braves are a favorite on the money line. That's Braves Today sponsor FanDuel. Atlanta's at -146. Miami's at +136. So Braves are a favorite. Over-under's 8.5 runs. And for me, this matchup is going to hinge on, can Atlanta's lefties get to Jansen Junk before he settles in on getting the ground balls, right? Like, can he get comfortable managing the contact before they can put runs on the board? Perez, it's going to be, can you not give them free base runners to their righties? And again, they have 8 either righties or switch hitters in today's lineup. He walks more righties than lefties. They're aware of that. Perez has to keep the free runners off the bases. Atlanta has to get runs from their contact off of Jansen Junk. That's going to decide the game. This really feels like it could be one of those, the first starter that avoids a walk or a soft single turning into a multi-run home run. Like, that's the winner. It feels like that could be today's game, right? First guy to give up a walk or a bloop single and then give up a multi-run shot after that. So we'll see what happens. That's your Braves Today scouting report. If you want the deeper analysis, the lineup breakdowns, everything behind the numbers, make sure you're subscribed to Braves Today. Enjoy the game. We'll be back after it with the postcast over on Locked On Sports Atlanta. And today's 3 things are written game recap over at bravestoday.com.